There's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, we have to get to immigration, housing, and invasions because it's just incredible. And I mean, we're going to talk about the carbon tax. We're going to talk about money and how squeezed people are. This isn't really budget. This is just cost of living and money, monetary stuff. I'm going to show you the $2.50 milk that I purchased, and more. There's so much. There's so much. There's Arrive scam scandals that are happening, just like Arrive scam, but it's friends of friends, cronies, right? Insiders getting plum contracts for just because they know people, and that's crazy too. So there's so much. There's so much. It's fun being away, but also balancing what I do and keeping my finger on the pulse, et cetera, while I was out doing what I was doing. Difficult, a little bit difficult. So I hope. I mean, this can't be a comprehensive covering of everything that I've missed, but there's so much that happened. I had to do this. And then tomorrow is going to be a pretty full show too, because there's a whole bunch of stuff that happened. I've already talked about Jagmeet Singh, and that's not in this show yet, but we're going to talk about it. But regardless, let's get to it. First, law of averages says, talking about invasions, housing, and the rest. He says, an MIT professor found that 1%, a 1% increase in the population from immigration increases rent by 1%, a 1-to-1 ratio. Yikes. I mean, yikes. That's really... It's crazy, right? MIT, that's pretty legit. His research was published in the Journal of Urban Economics, the premier journal of its field. It is clear immigration makes housing more expensive in our cities. Yeah, yes, sure does. It sure does, and that's bad. It's bad. Here's a link to the full study. Link should be in the description, but I'm busy and I'm trying to get everything done, and I'm trying to get this done as quickly as possible because I'd like to get a show out today. I really would, and I think that I've got time. I could do it under the wire. Sabrina Maddox says, imagine adding the entire population of Nova Scotia to Canada in a mere 9 months. That's what Justin Trudeau's Liberals just did. As of March, our population hit a stunning 41 million, a historic increase of 1.2 million change residents in 3/4 of a year. That's a whole new Calgary, more than 2 new Hamiltons, 6 new Richmond Hills, or over 21 new Auroras. As AORRH's Conservatives candidate and MP, I would continue to loudly advocate for a more responsible approach to immigration. I don't know. I'm very, very skeptical that the Conservatives are going to deliver on this more responsible approach to immigration, particularly because, I mean, if this is true, and I mean, a study is a study, you can do lots of interesting things with data, so always take it with a grain of salt, right? But if this is true, adding that many people rent is going to be the least of our worries, with all of the rest of the things that number of people being added to our population will impact. That's bad, right? And it's not even just the temporary foreign workers, the students, the permanent residents and immigration tracks to get into Canada. Now we've got the government of Canada purchasing wholesale battery plants from foreign countries like South Korea and other places, and then not just bringing the battery plant, but actually bringing the staff from the battery plant, because we can't train Canadians to do that, I guess. I'm not sure why we can't, but I guess we can't. And so people are upset with Doug Ford and with Justin Trudeau for spending billions with a B on these new battery plants that we have to purchase, because obviously this is the only fix for climate change. That and planting 2 billion trees. Right? Again, very skeptical, because climate change is a hoax meant to control us. But that aside, the government spent billions of dollars because they've decided we have to do this, and so they've spent all this money. But that money is not going to Canadian jobs. That money is going to foreign jobs. Right? Here's 6 Buzz, and this is back on April 25th. This is the day I left. Honda to get up to $5 billion in government help to build EV battery assembly plants as part of a $15 billion project in Ontario. Right. That's, I mean, $15 billion, right? Sounds like, oh, Canadian jobs at the very least, right? Nope, you'd be wrong. True North says Canadian workers are asking for the federal government to step in to stop the reliance on foreign workers to build a heavily subsidized electronic vehicle battery plant in southwestern Ontario. That was on the 24th, just before I left, but I didn't have a chance to put a show out on the 25th, so I wanted to tell you about it, right? Here's Doug Ford on the 25th, clumsily not answering the question about that, right? After delivering a 5-minute non-answer word salad about how many jobs the $5 billion from taxpayers will create at Honda, Trudeau loses his cool and snaps at a reporter who points out he never answered the question. The man is not well. So I thought this was Doug Ford, but it's Trudeau. Here we go.
This is generational. This is decades and decades down the road. What price
This is a theft, actually. This is just pilfering from our pocketbooks, the tax dollars that should really be spent on uh, infrastructure, like fixing our roads and bridges and making sure that our borders are secure and not being jumped over by illegals who are just coming for the free handouts and things like that.
You put on that?
Yes.
There is no price you can put on.
No, the price, yes. No, I can put a price on that. The price is $15 billion of waste. That's the price.
On that, because we're investing into the people. The money is staying here in Ontario.
But the money will go to foreign people in Ontario who we import, and they're going to build our houses.
It's not going overseas. It's not going down to the U.S. It's staying.
Are you sure? I think that when you give the money to the people, a lot of people send it over to other countries. There's a whole industry built on sending money to foreign countries for people who've come to Canada just to work and send the money back to other countries. There's a whole industry. So you could say that, but it's not true.
Right here in Ontario for decades and generations to come.
So just to be clear, no one's willing to answer the question specifically. How many jobs are being created, and what is the cost for the government deal?
If you're not going to listen to the answer of it saying 1,000 jobs created, then there's nothing we can do for you.
So these people have lost the plot, but they don't actually work for us. The people who are bankrolling their campaigns and who actually run the elections, they work for them, unfortunately. And those people are quite happy with the results the Doug Fords and Justin Trudeau's of the world are getting for them. The Irish people have had enough of all this crap, though. The Irish people have had enough, says Concerned Citizen. Protesters set fire outside of a migrant camp. Camps are being constructed all over Ireland as the government continues to deliberately import mass numbers of migrants. Nobody can assimilate this number of people. Not here in Canada, not in Alberta, not in British Columbia, not in Newfoundland, not in Ireland, not in the UK, not in France. Nowhere can do this. And the governments don't care. The Ireland government is betraying the Irish. The Western governments of the world are betraying their citizens. Cam Guthrie, speaking of politicians who are betraying their citizens, says a bit more information and thoughts on the temporary structured encampments discussed that will be coming to the Guelph City Council on May 15th. So they want to build sheds and pretend that that's building housing. I mean, and they're not willing to, they'll block you. Cam Guthrie blocks people. He used to respond with gifts, and I kept telling him it was very unprofessional to do that. He still does that. But now he doesn't get any responses because he blocks everybody from responding to this. Nobody wants this crap. Nobody wants this crap. Somebody's paying him, and I think that it's sometimes people get paid in having their ego stroked. And sometimes they get paid in cold hard cash. Sometimes they get paid in stocks, right? But it seems to me that the guys being mayor and the gals who are mayors and municipal leaders, I use the term loosely, are having their egos stroked by having attention paid to them by international agencies such as the United Nations and Bloomberg and climate change and all this other stuff. And oh my gosh, there's a problem in your community and you have to fix it. The fix to this problem is not let's put up a shed and stick a bed in it. The fix to this is to say, Mr. Trudeau, we refuse to accept this. We are not responsible for these mistakes that you've made. The only solution is to remove the illegal people from this country. That's it. We're not going to put these people in sheds because that's not fair to them either. But he's saying, oh, everybody, it's going to be great, right? Like, no, it's not going to be great. And nobody wants it. Least of all the people who are going to be the first people who live there. And then when the proverbial poop hits the fan and they decide that somebody else's house looks a whole lot nicer than the shed they've been forced to live in, they'll come out with their machetes or whatever else, other weapons they can get their hands on. And as they're completely immune from any kind of prosecution, they'll take what they want, right? And I mean, the powers that be damn well know this. Eva Chipik is responding to this. She says, this is just wild. I don't have full context, but from what I understand, a city councillor indignantly interrupts residents holding a press conference trying to address issues around a modular home development and the rise in crime and drugs. This councillor jumps in and shuts them down, saying it's been decided based on medical studies and that they're misinformed. At the end, the resident says he lives across the street from the development and he's seen the issues firsthand. He says they feel voiceless and helpless. I think that's what Canadians feel like at this point in time. The purpose of elected officials is to represent the interests and concerns of the community they serve. Okay, that is true. But at this point in time, the elected officials, especially the municipal ones, as I just said, have had their egos stroked. They've got the attention of these international agencies all about climate change. You've got to save the world, right? Only you know, and only deniers would be denying these good things that you do, right? It's climate communism, but they feel powerful and way more powerful than they would in the regular order of things. So they're supposed to represent the interests and concerns of their community, but they've been co-opted by ego or cold hard cash or whatever it is that gets them, right? Gets their goat, Pokemon cards, whatever it is. And now they don't work for the electorate. They work for somebody else. And that's why they're doing this, because they don't care what the electorate says. They know they're going to win the election. Elected officials are expected to listen to their constituents, says Eva, advocate for their needs and work towards the betterment of the community as a whole, not only what they believe. They serve as a voice for the people, acting as a bridge between the government and the public to ensure that the community's needs are met and that the voices are heard in the decision-making process. If they don't understand their role, they should not be in that position. So this is 3 minutes worthwhile, but we'll just listen to maybe a little bit of it. Here you go.
Got on the website, it's got Cash Heat's name on it. It's a fact. But any time that we mention LS, it's been cut off. You're not allowed to mention it.
You've been unfortunately misinformed by people who are trying to seek political office.
Well,
I'm sorry for that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Smarter than that. The point here is that that issue was already dealt with back in March, and there's no need to bring up the same
Which
thing.
issue? Was there a complaint made about Cash Heat's behavior? And do you think Cash Heat did violate Section 2.4 of the Code of Conduct?
Do you think the person who threw a piece of paper at him broke the code of conduct?
That person may have, and I did talk about that in my delegation, that person may have violated, that person may have actually not known the rules of procedure by putting a piece of paper on the table, although the video does show her putting it on the table and him turning around and throwing it at her. But even if we dismiss that one, I mean, he did go into a tirade on Councillor Liu's motives and political aspirations and all of that, which that is a violation of 2.4 as
So not to get too wonky, but fundamentally, this woman is saying you've been misinformed. And the woman she's talking to, I believe, is somebody who has firsthand experience with exactly the issue she's speaking about. So these people are ideologically aligned, say anything to anyone in order to move their game forward. And it's incredible. It's incredible. They will tell you there is no problem while you're standing there saying, I'm watching it from my front doorstep, which is the issue is literally across the street. That word creeping in there. Blacklock's reporter says nearly 8,000 Gazans apply for Mark Miller's special visas to come to Canada. 8,000. 179 are accepted so far as of May 3rd. This is Canada's effort to get people out. Mark Miller. And here Tommy Robinson is sharing this from November 13th, 23. It says, if you don't want to listen to what we say their intentions are, then at least believe them when they tell you. This is Shayak Adnan Rashid explaining why Muslims come to the UK. It's to conquer and take over. And it's not just Muslims at this point in time. It's not just one group of people. There are people, Khalistani people at this point in time, taking a very, very aggressive step and showing power in a way. I mean, China too. China's showing power in Canada in a way that I've never seen before. But this kind of stuff, and I'm not going to play the video at this point in time, but this is over and over. I've seen religious leaders in the East or Middle East or whatever talking about how jihad in Canada and these are the reasons and so on and so forth. But you can see the outcome. You can see what's going on if you are not blind to it through brainwashing. And it's incredible. And I think that this is correct, that they know exactly what they're doing. They've done it to a bunch of different countries. And I mean, it's possible, and I've said this before about other groups of people, that it's possible that there are a group of people within a broader group. So like there are a group of Jewish people, let's just say, who are nefarious and want to accomplish evil things, let's say. But that doesn't make all Jews bad, right? For example, or in this situation, Muslims, right? Because there are some Muslims who have nefarious nefarious goals. That doesn't make all Muslims bad. But again, I don't know enough about it. I don't know enough about it, being quite honest with you. And I think that because I don't know enough about it, we shouldn't, and because I think that the country doesn't know enough about it, we shouldn't just close our eyes and blindly accept people in who we don't know their intentions and who could be acting against us, right? And if people who have bad intentions say this so openly, then I'm sure there's a way to protect our country from these kind of things, right? I'm sure there is. And if I'm incorrect, right, if it is such that all Muslims believe this or all Jewish people believe these nefarious leaders who say that they're all about conquering, et cetera, then more fool me, I suppose, right? But I think that more people just want to live their life and raise their family and not be a conflict, right? Not be in conflict with other people. There are people who want conflict, sure, right? There are, for sure. But I just don't think that's everybody. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, right? Regardless. Amy says, French Parliament stunned. Your immigration policy has a price in blood. Senator Stéphane Ravier slams globalist engineered great replacement and deadly illegal Islamic immigration. French people are fed up. We've had enough. So Ireland, France, Islamic people saying, we want to invade you. Here's ViceGuard 24 saying hundreds of Islamists are demonstrating in Hamburg, Germany. This is Germany now. They're demanding that a caliphate is established in the country. And the organization behind the protests called Muslim Interactif, and it is monitored by the authorities, but not banned. Now, like I was just saying that I don't think it's everybody. There's a darn lot of them here, right, who support this whole idea of setting up a caliphate. Same in England, right? So maybe more fool me, right? Maybe I've got my eyes closed just as much as other people in believing that there are some people who just want to live and let live and allow others to live and let live and are satisfied with a lot in life, right? I don't know. Because it seems, I've read somewhere as well, that you don't need a majority of the population. 8 to 11, a vocal 8 to 11% is enough. And I mean, look at the UK. I believe that I think that Muslim population is still below 10%. Maybe it's 11%. But it's incredible what's going on. So what do you think? Tell me in the comments if you're interested in talking about it. Eva says, here it is, the full speech I gave at CPAC Hungary that the establishment is losing its mind about. I spoke the forbidden truth. The great replacement is no longer a theory. It is reality. White Europeans are being replaced in their own countries at an ever-accelerating rate, and it will mean the end of our civilization if we don't turn things around. I was in Cracker Barrel, and there was a woman who was working in the Cracker Barrel, and she seemed dissatisfied with her job, and she seemed caught up in her own issues, but as you would be, like a normal person would be. And I was not trying to tell her, because it seemed very calm and just kind of nice. And I didn't want to ruin anybody's day with, rantings of a Canadian conspiracy theorist. But it's very interesting because I think that her problems prevent her from her problems, her personal problems, her work problems, the interpersonal issues, et cetera, prevent her from seeing the bigger problems that are on the horizon. And so like when Canada were watching the things unrolling in Australia for COVID, and even the rape gangs in the UK, we watched all of that happen. And not that we didn't know what to do about it or how to deal with it, but we didn't know if it was going to come here. And we didn't do any kind of prep work to counter it at all. In fact, the left took more and more control of the speech, more and more control of education, more and more control of education, both delivering education in like public schools, government schools, but also post-secondary school as well. Much more control, and we disengaged almost. Like if you talked about it, you were a bad guy. So just don't talk about it too much. So it's really interesting to watch people, and I think that's part of the design of the way we currently live. That we get so caught up in our everyday regular lives, and we get so caught up in our cell phones and notifications, television, and must-see TV, and all this other crap, that we don't see slow creep of the invasion that's going on. We don't see the slow creep of all the other problems that are apparent. The printing money leads to problems, but you don't see it right away. It's like you didn't eat dessert, but now you eat dessert, and the dessert is 500 calories. So you put on a pound a week for like 6 months, and you're 20 pounds overweight, and you don't know what you've done, but you're pretty sure that you've done something wrong. I feel like that's what we're doing. Like what's happening is we're printing we're printing all this money. The dessert has been being given to us and we don't understand it and it's new, right? And we just eat it without questioning it. And that's kind of like the printing money. That's kind of like what's happening, right? Like, oh, well, all this money is being printed and it's having negative consequences, but my house's value is going up, so it's fine, right? And people just, and it's hard to explain all of these other consequences when they're so engaged in their day to day and they don't see the broader consequences, things that are happening. But yeah, Eva's right. It's happening and people just don't see it. And if they do start to see it, well, they get shut down by all sorts of other behavior police, right? Noticing police. Blacklock's reporter says Fed-funded immigrant aid society wants 10,000 Gazans in Canada with the same benefits as Ukraine war refugees, free healthcare, social assistance, and legal counsel. They get free dental too. You know that? Free dental. So like, if you paid into taxes all your life and then you are elderly, right? You don't get free dental. Some dental, I guess, if you can find a dentist that covers you. But if you're a Gazan, right, or a Ukrainian, you get free dental right away. Crazy stuff. Goderich is talking about this military exercise. This was May 3rd. The Canadian Armed Forces will be conducting an emergency exercise in Huron and Bruce counties between Friday, May 3rd and Sunday, May 5th, 2024. Goderich residents will notice a military presence throughout the town as soldiers will be stationed over the weekend. There's no reason for concern regarding this exercise. It's being conducted to create a more challenging, realistic training exercise for soldiers. Soldiers will be conducting firefighting training, wellness checks, simulated search and rescue operations, establishing cooling centers, as well as other activities. These exercises will be conducted throughout Huron and Bruce counties. Wellness checks or door knocks will be performed in Goderich on Saturday, May 4th. Soldiers will be going door to door and speaking with residents to simulate what would happen if they were asked to check on the well-being of residents during an actual emergency. All measures are being taken to ensure minimum inconvenience to those in the area. This is goderich.ca, so I'm inclined to believe that it's true. This guy says, Soldier Mama says, door-to-door wellness checks. My tinfoil hat is on. I've never heard of this ever. Anyone want to chime in here? So people are kind of upset about this. Here's a woman, and she finds a soldier there. This is posted 2 days ago, so this could plausibly be real. Comes up and talks to him. Here's some of that.
Hey there. What are you guys up to?
We're conducting,
Is this wellness check thing?
yeah, so we're conducting an exercise to make sure when in the case of an emergency, we're prepared to help the local authorities.
Okay, what kind of emergency?
So the theoretical situation this weekend would be like a heat emergency. So in the case of it's like a heat waves or forest fires, stuff like that.
Okay. You think we're going to
A heat emergency, heat waves, forest fires, stuff like that. Right. So yes, it happened. Apparently they asked, you have a garden, how many people in the house, how many rooms, all sorts of weird questions, but I can't confirm that they were actually those questions that was posted on the Friday. So I thought it was weird because it was posted, I think, before it actually happened. So I thought I flagged that for myself. I thought, I don't know about this. So lots of interesting reporting on this, but I don't have anything confirmed. Like I don't have a recording or anything. Also, the Canadian Forces changed their branding a little bit, and people are upset about this. This is another Arrive scam kind of nonsense thing. People were given money. They produced crap. Like they went to an AI producer. They went and found some kind of AI or something else to put together a Minecraft looking thing, and they sent that back, and it looks like a turd. It looks like a moose pooping something out. It's ridiculous. Like, come on, are you kidding me? Like, this is supposed to. Is this serious? Are you serious right now? Anyway, Mark says, I like branding. I read about it. I study it. I think about it a lot. This is the new brand for the Canadian Army. I have no idea what this is supposed to mean. I am, however, very interested to know which third-party consulting firm got the millions for this abomination. Ooh, I bet there's a whole big scam underneath it all. Yeah, you see, this is the antler of the moose. Okay, this is the front of the moose. This is the moose's leg, and he's kind of doing a little kick because he's pooping. And this is the poop coming out, and his leg's kind of covered by the poop because there's a lot of poop because it's a Canadian Armed Forces moose, of course, right? It's full of crap, right? My goodness. So there you go. There you go. And the backlash against this was powerful enough to get the Canadian Army to say, hold on, no, this isn't actually real. Hold on a second. The Canadian Army has not changed its official logo. We remain proud of our official emblem. The icon launched today is a supplementary design only that will be used in the bottom left corner of certain communication products and animations for videos. You can't use this in a ping? Like pings or PNG files are transparent, right? You can't put this in the bottom corner. It says Canada military because it's got swords, right? Like maybe update it with AK-15s or AR-15s. No, those are illegal military style, right? But I mean, you could use it on the emblem because it's a military emblem. Would it look weird? But yeah, no. This or whatever the moose pooping. Are you kidding me? Come on. They're trolling us. That was millions of dollars? Yes, probably more. Amazing Zoltan says the Trudeau Liberals, this is plastic bans, the plastic registry. So just to remember, these people are drunk on power and they have no interest in actually serving the Canadian public whatsoever. Amazing Zoltan says the Trudeau Liberals are creating a plastic registry before a foreign agents registry, while in the middle of the most scandalous foreign election interference inquiry in history. Tells you everything you need to know about these goofballs. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely 100% true. The plastics registry, that's where the real problems are. Plastic, right? Plastic and white people. Thanks, Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. They're terrible. Kian says, Justin Trudeau just admitted that people in Saskatchewan will still get the carbon rebate despite the government not collecting the carbon tax there any longer. It's proof that these payments are bribes and have nothing to do with an actual environmental plan. Yeah, that's true. I think that's true. Here's Wide Awake Media. Australian broadcaster Alex Jones. The electric car agenda is so much rubbish. The electricity that will enable the car to move will predominantly come from fossil fuels. The energy to manufacture will come from fossil fuels. It's another hoax. The whole thing is a hoax. It's a hoax. Climate change is a hoax. Electric cars are a hoax. Electric cars are another way to control you. Imagine having to charge your car like you have to charge your phone, and like going to sleep and hoping that, there's not a power outage, or if your phone just doesn't charge because, I don't know, the charging thing's being weird for whatever reason, or that you just decided not, like you pushed a button to not charge it for whatever reason. You wake up and there's nothing charged. So, oh man, you're taking the bus. It is a way to control you and make life worse, but they're selling it to you like it's good because they think we're suckers. And oftentimes we behave like suckers. Unfortunately, Sweden's not behaving like a sucker. Sweden has scrapped climate taxes on fuel. Diesel prices went down 30%, almost 30%. Say no to climate agenda. And I'm like, if I didn't think that our elections were completely and utterly rigged, I would start the Trillium Party. I think the Trillium Party would work. I think the Trillium Party of Ontario, or the Trillium Party Ontario Trillium Party, I don't know, something. And basically, I would just talk about taking the taxes off fuel and gas and oil, taking the taxes off of farmers, taking the taxes off of families, encouraging growth, refusing to allow the federal government to force Ontario to take more citizens than we can handle. And I would set that number as premier. And I would dissolve the school boards, all of the school boards right away, straight away. All of the directors of education, gone, every single one of them. And then I think I would be the premier and the education minister. If Chrystia Freeland can be the finance minister and the deputy prime minister, I can be the premier and education. And then I would, instead of having that, I'd have one school board and I'd be the director of education as the minister. Or maybe I'd set the education, the minister of education, not the minister of education, the director of education. I'd set that, but as the director, as the minister. But fundamentally, I think that we should follow the Japanese model. The Chinese model. Let's indoctrinate all the children. The Japanese model. And the Japanese model lets the child direct the learning, but I don't want to go off on a tangent. But fundamentally, I think we could fix this if you had people who looked at the problem and understood the solution rather than just trying to implement communism. Yeah, that's it. Let's talk about the budget just before we talk about affordability, which is tanking. Affordability is terrible. CBC Watcher says Trudeau is asked about the Canadian Medical Association statement about doctors and capital gains. He rants about fairness. To make it fair, add a 33% tax increase across the board to all public sector pension payments, including his. Doctors might agree that's fair. So Justin Trudeau is still, as part of this budget, wanting to hike the capital gains tax. And even though doctors and a whole bunch of other people are saying they don't want to have these capital gains increases, Justin Trudeau is going ahead with it. And they're still trying to brand it as fair. I don't want to listen to Justin Trudeau, so we're not going to listen to this. So I hope that's okay. Here's the $2.50 milk, $2.49 frickin' cents. Can you believe that? I couldn't believe it. Right? It's crazy. Look at the expensive milk at the top there, $5.29. You see it? Fat-free skim milk with the Star Wars thing at the top. You can't see. That's the expensive milk, and I accidentally grabbed that one time. But the no-name, the regular everyday milk, it's probably got all sorts of hormones and GMO and all the rest. But it's still super cheap. And so if the United States can produce milk that cheap, there's no reason for Canada to be spending $6 for 4 liters of milk. There's no reason for Canada to be spending the amount we are on butter, et cetera, et cetera. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. Now, that said, there were other things in the grocery store that were much more expensive. Chips were really expensive, and chips used to be cheap snack, right? But all of a sudden, chips are ridiculously expensive. So there are things that are expensive. Alcohol. I saw a bottle of alcohol, vodka. It was 2 liter, 1.91 liter, something like that. Bottle of, I can't remember the name. Oh man, it's the really popular vodka. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Smirnoff vodka. And it was $16. And I said to the lady, I'm from Canada. I said, this is $100 bottle of vodka in Canada. She said, no. I said, taxes, man. It's taxes. So crazy. Milk, expensive. $16. And I thought to myself, I could just buy, that's the same price as a Mickey in Canada, $16, right? It's American, so it's, probably $7.50. I ended up getting a $750 bottle of vodka because where I was, the alcohol outside of the room was very expensive. So, I got this other vodka, $8 for $7.50. And I didn't get close to finishing it. I didn't have that much, but I was just like, holy smoke, $8, $7.67 or something like that. Crazy town. Absolutely crazy. So you get some perspective when you leave Canada. Here's Toronto. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful